The Forgotten Tunnel. Outside the small town of Coldwater lies a stretch of forest rarely visited by locals. Hidden within those woods is a crumbling drainage tunnel, abandoned for more than a century. The passage, known in folklore as the Hollow, has developed a reputation for being one of the most unsettling places in the region. Over the years, countless stories have circulated, whispered warnings of strange echoes, unexplained screams, and shadows that linger long after dark. This is the story of the Hollow, and you're watching Whispers by Dark. The tunnel was originally constructed in the late 1800s as a water runoff passage beneath a dirt road. According to local records, the road itself was decommissioned in the early 1900s when erosion made it unsafe. The tunnel was left behind. A stone-lined archway disappeared into the hillside, its walls covered in moss, its ceiling thick with roots. Not long after its abandonment, the first reports of strange sounds began to circulate. Farmers traveling nearby at night claimed to hear crying echoing from within the stone corridor. Others described a scream so loud and piercing that it carried across the woods, even when the tunnel was empty. The folklore of the Hollow centers on a tragic story from the early 20th century. A farmhouse near the site was destroyed in a winter fire. According to oral accounts passed down in the community, a young girl, no older than 14, ran from the flames, her clothes and hair engulfed. Witnesses claimed she fled toward the tunnel, screaming for help. What happened next remains disputed. Some versions state she collapsed inside the tunnel, where the fire consumed her. Others insist her parents, desperate to stop the flames from spreading, shut her inside. What is certain is that her screams were heard long after she vanished. Generations later, the tunnel became a destination for dares and late-night visits. Teenagers in particular were drawn to it. The ritual was always the same. Step inside the tunnel at midnight, light a match, and say your own name. According to the legend, the tunnel will not echo your voice back. Instead, another voice, faint, cracked, and childlike, will whisper your name from the darkness. Many who attempted the ritual dismissed what they heard as tricks of acoustics, yet others left shaken, unwilling to return. One of the most detailed modern accounts comes from the late 1990s. 4 friends from Coldwater, 2 young men and 2 women, reportedly entered the tunnel late one October night. They carried flashlights and a box of matches, intent on proving the legends false. Once inside, they described the air as heavier than outside, damp and unnaturally cold. Carvings on the walls, some dating back over a century, were noted. At the midpoint of the tunnel, one of them lit a match and whispered his name. Seconds later, all 4 claimed to hear the same name repeated in a whisper from deeper inside. The flame burned out, and then came the scream. The group described it as deafening, a high-pitched cry that echoed from both directions, making it impossible to tell where it originated. Terrified, they fled, only to realize the scream had not come from behind them in the tunnel, but from the woods ahead. The experience was enough that none of the 4 ever returned to the site. Despite their fear, 3 of the original group did return roughly a week later. One friend, skeptical of the first experience, insisted it was an acoustic illusion. The tunnel appeared unchanged, though they immediately noticed a stronger feeling of being watched. As they advanced, their flashlights malfunctioned, plunging the tunnel into darkness. Moments later, a faint glow resembling firelight flickered at the far end. According to their account, a childlike scream erupted, shaking the stone walls. They fled once again, this time convinced something unnatural resided within the hollow. Today, the tunnel remains hidden in the woods, rarely visited. Local authorities acknowledge its existence, but have never officially recorded paranormal activity there. Residents of Coldwater, however, maintain an unspoken rule. The tunnel is not a place to linger. Parents discourage children from venturing too close, and older generations often refuse to discuss it at all. Some say the screams are nothing more than the sound of wind rushing through a narrow passage. Others believe the tragedy of the farmhouse fire remains trapped within the tunnel, replaying itself endlessly. Whether explained by acoustics, folklore, or something darker, the hollow has etched itself into Coldwater's identity. Those who have entered rarely forget the chill of the air, the weight of silence, or the scream that seems to live within the stone. And so the legend endures. If you ever find yourself in Coldwater, and you hear a scream echoing through the woods, remember the warning. Don't enter the tunnel, don't light a match, and above all, don't whisper your name. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more ghost stories. And you stay safe out there, folks, and we'll see you on the next one.